It's unmuted. We're live and it's unmuted.
Okay. This is Facilities Committee meeting. It's April 3rd, 2025. The time is now 6:31 p.m. And we'll start with introductions.
Luke Johnson, Network Administrator.
Lisa Raymond, Assistant Superintendent for Business.
Dennis Pugliese, Director of Facilities.
Tracy Mears, Board President.
He wasn't president of the Woodland PTA.
David Warner, Board Member.
Chris Allen, Board Member.
In the back.
Elizabeth Sindona, Assistant Director of Facilities.
Okay, and online, Mike,
Mike Messina, BBS Architects.
Francis,
Melito, 7 Engineers, Construction Manager.
Carol,
Dr. Allen, Carol Allen, community member.
anybody I missed? Okay, so let's take a look at the agenda.
Yep, hold on a second.
Hey, Gabriella, want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Gabriela Barahona, parent of 3 boys in the district.
Good. All right, I think that's everybody. Wait, somebody's coming. Hi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, sure. I'm Katie McGee, parent of a 10th grader.
Good. Okay. So, the next item on the agenda is the never-ending saga of the water main recommendation. And right there on the first page, you know how much our capital reserve unencumbered balance is, about $450 million in repair reserve, 792. And we went through many iterations of this, and the committee recommended that we completed the funding for the first half of the project, and then we were going to go to bid, and then it looked like we had more money and therefore could complete the project, and then we had to define whether completing the project was really completing the project, that is connecting us with the Pinewood side for another water source, or if it just meant getting as much water from West Hartsdale Avenue as we could. And the board came up with voted for the complete kind of thing, and we had recommended that, and then we asked, since it was a split vote at the board level, for the administration to make a recommendation. And they came back and said, we would just do option 1. So there are some people who are concerned that there is not enough of a balance in the capital reserve fund, and there are some people who just want to use the money for different projects. And so we want to see if the budget passes, because that will give us additional funds. And knock that out.
When the budget
passes, yes. And so we've gone through and figured out how we could come up with an option of how long from the time that we go to bid with various options in the bid do we have to respond, and if we got those dates right, then we would know whether or not we have additional funding from the budget. That's kind of where we're at this point. And I think that will all be made clear when we go to the BBS project report, where we stand with the dates for the bid. So unless there are any questions, because I think most of you are pretty familiar with this item already, we could go on and go down the line and look at the status of the of all the projects. Any objection? Okay. Item 3. Project status. Could you bring up the BBS project report? Okay,
It's like March, don't we want April?
we want April.
On bottom right. All the way over.
Okay, so take it away, Mike.
Okay, good evening, everybody. So the Woodlands Security Vestibule Edition, happy to report that the agreement between the district and the surety has been finalized and accepted. And we received word that the new GC, Lisi, was on site this week to confirm some of the conditions out there and begin ordering other materials that he needs to finish the job as needed. So that should be starting up in the next few weeks. And we'll share a schedule once we get it from them as far as what's going to happen over the next, I think it's 120 days. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa. I think it's in their contract to complete the job.
Yes.
So over the next 4 months, you'll be seeing them working on that project.
And
Go ahead.
I have this fear that Trump will come jumping out of the bushes and slap the tariff on us. Is any portion of the materials that have not been ordered that aren't American made? Do you know?
I believe that, David, a majority of the material has already been ordered and is in place previously. You know, mechanical equipment, that such a thing. It's really the incidental materials that he needs to complete the job, sheetrock, that type of thing. So it's not there shouldn't be anything that's major that's going to affect the job. And if there is, the surety is going to cover it up to the dollar value that they'll cover. So you don't have to worry about that at this point in time.
Okay, you have a question?
So we had to adjust some of the framework that's already been refabricated.
Yes, it's actually in place already. The majority of the work now that needs to be done is inside the box. The security officers area, the mechanical, electrical work that needs to be done, the ceilings, lighting, all the incidental stuff that's associated with that. But the storefront itself is finished in place, ready to go. So,
Mike, isn't the storefront sitting in a warehouse somewhere? Just
no,
waiting for all this to be done?
Everything that's been out there has been delivered. Yeah, it's all installed. There might be some old doors they have to take away that still are out there, but no. And if there was anything that wasn't brought on site by the subcontractor, they'll bring it on site to complete the job. They do have the interior transaction framing and window to put in. I don't know if that's on site or not. If it isn't, it's at their warehouse. But that's now Lisi's coordination with the subs and the surety. As I say in the report, Beacon was retained by the surety, so they were on board the last year or so with the other contractors that defaulted. So they'll be on top of Lisi and his subs now to finish the job.
All good. Yes, we will. Okay. Water main fire hydrant project. We just discussed that, and will the dates work? The vote is on what, the 20th?
Yes.
Okay, so May 20th is a vote, and we're gonna open the bids on 5/15. Sounds like
They're putting it out on April 22nd.
okay.
And then we put, what did we put, Mike, 45 or 60? 45 days.
45 days. Yeah.
45.
We kept the standard.
That brings you to June 30th. Approximately.
Okay,
Ready to accept the new.
right, so we have plenty of board meetings, we can do it all, okay. Okay, so here's hoping. Woodlands Middle High School tennis court. And-
Dr. Allen
Someone
has
has
a
a
question.
Go ahead. Dr. Allen?
All right, has the board discussed the possibility of needing to defer doing the water main the water main project because of questionable funding from the federal and state level because of what's going on politically with tariffs and these downsizing of the government and firing of all the federal employees at this point?
No, we haven't discussed delaying the water main project, but it has come up and Ms. Raymond said that right now we haven't had any direct impact yet.
I mean, I understand that we haven't had any direct impact, but I'm just concerned that we'll go out to bid, accept the bid, then all of a sudden we find out that we're not going to be getting a significant chunk of money that we expect to receive, and then we need to make some serious modifications to our budget. I'm wondering if we should slow down on doing this until we see what our financial situation is going to be.
No, I understand what you're saying. I just want to answer your question. No, the board hasn't had that specific decision or discussion about that decision, but we did talk. Was it last meeting, Ms. Raymond?
We
I think so. We
had
did
a
talk
don't
last
panic
meeting.
yet.
What?
We had a don't panic yet.
Right, we did mention last meeting our concern in general about possible changes, but not that specific. So the short answer to your question is no. The long answer is we are talking with Ms. Raymond to look at if we are affected in any way. Sorry.
Chris?
You went through the history of the water main project. You went through the history of how this committee voted. You went through the history of how the board took a poll, but not an official vote. We then got admin's recommendation and the board has yet to readdress it, but I see additional 800,000 added to construction budget. Is that to close the loop? Is that where that extra $800,000 is?
No,
I
that's
thought
the
the
extra
original
800
red and blue was 600.
That's the extra $800,000 that we got as a
Originally,
result.
In the very beginning,
Right.
when they said that it was gonna cost $800,000.
Okay.
Way back.
That's so it's not added, it's not in.
No.
Just because it happens to match the additional 800 for the closing the loop,
Right,
which is why I'm asking.
we're not,
Because we don't
Nope.
have the whole history of all the funding there. It's just, for me, odd that we only see that there. I want to be sure how we're moving forward with this bid. Is the bid been put out yet? And does it talk about?
No,
doing it?
April 22nd.
the second,
Okay, when I said, I guess I should say the words created, has the,
the document been created,
yes.
has the request gone out to the
Discussed,
state.
I
Yes,
know we
yes,
discussed
PBS.
doing it as, do the original 3 sections and then do the red and blue section as an add-on and then.
Right,
So I
right,
don't
Mike,
know how
you're
it's
gonna,
constructed right now, since we haven't seen the
right,
RFP yet.
Mike, you're going to put the bid out and have addendums, right?
Not addendums, Lisa, alternates.
Alternates.
So, yeah. So there's the base bids, and you're right on point there. The base bid is going to be the 3 lines that we talked about coming off of Pat Capone to start, right? And it gets you down past the intersection down towards the high school. So there's 3 lines. I forget the colors. But that's the base bid. And that's what we have the $1.6 million budget for, right? The fully loaded number to do that work now. Originally, we had the 800,000 and we added the 800. And then add alternate number 1 will be to add in the additional 2 lines. I think it was red and blue. That brings you further down Pat Capone and towards the mansion. And then add alternate 2 will be to complete the loop. So now you'll get fed from both sides.
Ms. Raymond, can you tell us about the additional 800,000? I actually just saw that too.
It's not an additional 800,000, it's the original 800, it's really 814,000. That was in that, like, capital interfund transfer 3+ years ago, when they thought that's what it was going to cost. That money is still there.
Okay.
That's what I believe that is.
Just because we didn't add in like the additional 6 from the vote.
I
That's why I got
no.
confused as to what that 800 is, 'cause we're not talking about all the.
Right,
other
Mike,
money.
the 800 is the original money from the very beginning, right?
No, this, if you recall, you guys had a vote and you actually provided me the paperwork already for SED. I just haven't sent it yet because I'm waiting to see where we finally land on a final budget after next month. Your original budget that you sent to the state was 814,000. Then you had a vote to increase the budget an additional 800,000. And I have the paperwork from you with the resolution from months back. I think it might have been in November, October, November. That added the additional 800,000. I believe it's at the same time that you passed the bond for the science rooms. So that's the additional 800 that's reflected in this report.
So if that 800 is from the January vote, which I have to look up the resolution, there was the money in between, right, from the original, from what you were just saying, was from the original 8.
Right, to make the
Plus X.
1.6.
Plus, I thought it was 600 that we approved, but I have to look at all of them. You guys are-
I thought it was 600.
Because all the money's not there, I got confused, and now I'm gonna do.
Is it just the wording that's confusing you?
No, it's just, because 800 was what I remember for closing the loop for that. 600 is what I remember for red and blue.
Right.
So that money to me wasn't matching up. If it matches the original
It's not red and blue that we were treating.
8 plus 8.
Oh my gosh.
Red and blue is not not what we approved. It's the other two, the other three colors.
What did
It was the
vote-
yellow,
what did
the
voters
green, and
do?
I think it was the purple.
He's got the
Yellow, green,
yellow, green, and purple, and that added up data. With-
8 plus 8.
Yes.
So
It's
the January vote, which I'm gonna look up now,
I'll try to look at it. Why
is not listed there.
It's too far back, yeah.
Is it?
No, January 2020.
Mhm.
You're confused. That's further, okay, maybe this is the time. That's further back then. I don't know why I can't log into it. Okay,
Okay? All right, so you're gonna go back and look until you're satisfied and you, all right.
David is in good effect today.
All right, continue.
Okay. So if there's no other questions about the water main, the next is the Woodlands tennis courts. So at the previous construction meeting a few weeks ago, there were concerns that were brought up about the location of the tennis courts relative to the baseball field and the softball field over there. Consequently, we've been out with the surveyor for the contractor who's marked out and staked out the courts. And we also, at that time, a few weeks ago, were told about a access road for, I guess, vehicles to set up the fields that they actually drive across the grass that we weren't aware of. So based on a site meeting this past week on 401 with the district and Mr. McCoy and the contractors, a resolution was made to flip the courts, or not, the orientation would stay the same. We're just changing where the location of the drainage was on the left side. Now it's going on the right side. And that frees up space for the vehicles to maintain their access to the two ball fields. And as of today's meeting with Mr. McCoy, he loved it. He's very happy. And the only thing that happens with the site is that there are some additional trees that need to be removed. In addition to some that were identified by Dennis that were in a hazardous condition that we should just take down anyway. So once we get a final drawing to revise, with the elevation and grades that John Longo from our office is working on, we should issue it next week to the contractor. He'll be working off of that drawing, and he'll be able to start the work, which is, I believe, scheduled to begin on 4/7. He's gonna start mobilizing, putting up fencing and whatnot. So, construction temporary fence.
I think you had a version of, wait, are you talking?
I have a quick question. Was Mr. Pugliese at all the meetings?
Yes, it was on.
Oh, and you were there. Good.
Okay,
Okay.
so could you scroll down and we'll see what version we've got of this item? Yeah, just a minute,
It's the last page if that helps.
May I ask a quick question also?
Sure.
Are the tennis courts going to be on the current site or are they being relocated or expanded?
Wrong. Next.
They're gonna remain on the existing site. It always fit on the existing site. It was just, to move it around, to adjust it for the access to the two ball fields. So if you look at this aerial photo, just for discussion purposes, I included this today. The red line outline represents roughly the location of the four courts, and they orientate north-south on the plan. So by shifting it and moving now the drainage system from the left side to the right side, which is closer to the bleachers, we were able to maintain that. You can see it kind of in the aerial where the tire marks are on the grass, the path of travel for your maintenance vehicles. So everyone was happy at the end of the day today. Dennis was there, and we are proceeding with this plan.
So I'm assuming that the trees in the next to the lower left-hand corner of the red rectangle are going to be eliminated so you can drive around the thing?
Yes, there were always trees to be removed, to be called out. We're just going to be adding some additional trees, as well as some that Dennis identified that were, appeared to be in like I said, in hazardous condition that should be removed.
How many linear feet, if we're looking at that from the edge of the courts to, how many linear feet are we taking out or we clearing out?
It needs to be finalized. I don't have that answer for you at this time. Once the drawings are reflected and they have the points of elevation on there, they'll go out and they'll mark the number of trees that need to be cut, so everyone could be in agreement before they actually get cut down.
Because we need to do a secret for that, or sorry.
Go ahead, Tracy.
I think we need a secret for everything.
So in the timeline, where does that?
Right, Mike, don't we need to have a secret decision made on this?
No, you always had it included in the scope. So, again, nothing's 100% perfect. We always had trees coming out. The scope of work is still the same. It's just the number of trees that you're taking down has changed. That does not require additional secret on your end.
Trustee Allen, it was already done.
Secret.
Yeah, it'd be no different if a tree fell down or if you decided to cut down some trees that you thought were in bad condition and remove them. There's no reason to do a secret for that. That's a considered maintenance repairs.
Carol, was your question answered?
Yes, it was.
Okay, scroll back
Thank
up.
Mr. Morton.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Just my mind is blank right now. Is there going to be a tennis match and a baseball game going on at the same time? Are they different?
Could be.
With tennis, you usually want it quiet. With baseball, you usually want it screaming.
Well, I think that's Mr. McCoy would have to make sure the schedule doesn't conflict with each other.
But that's why I'm asking, because the reason why I'm saying they're so close, and if there could be any kind of buffer or something in between.
I think it's cheaper to schedule.
I know
Fix it with scheduling than it is to
to
fix
have
the buffer.
course, and I'm just saying, in general, that,
Mhm.
I understand about money, but I'm saying, is that it's gonna be an issue? How did anybody thought about that?
That has come up in some conversations about if somebody's like practicing or having a game or something. Yeah, that was part of our conversations when we were out there.
Just wanna make sure it's out there.
Okay. All right. Running track.
Actually, before I continue with that, Francis, did you have anything you wanted to add construction wise?
We just want to say that we had our regular construction meeting today on this project, and the contractor did state that based on the changes that we're making, that there's really very little cost impact that we could see at this point. And there is, at this point, he said there is no impact on the schedule. So we are still scheduled to start next week. We're still scheduled to be substantially complete by the end of August.
Back on schedule. Okay, good.
Okay. The running track, all the submittals have been submitted and approved. The color selection was confirmed by the district last month to be red. And I'll turn it back to Francis to give you a construction update on that as well.
And we're supposed to, our target date to start that project is May 12th. We're still on that schedule. That job is also scheduled to be substantially complete and opened by the end of August. And we, at this point, we have no issues on that job at all.
Question. I
Yeah.
heard you say that we confirmed that the track is going to be red.
Yes.
After all that discussion we had about changing it to green, could you explain what happened?
Yeah, well, basically, I went through it with Mr. Smith and Mr. McCoy, and they all wanted red, and they just felt that they wanted to align with all the other school districts. So nobody wanted to brand it, so easy decision, that's what they wanted.
Not to mention, I think the additional cost was $25,000 to go green.
For a standard green, yeah.
Yeah.
And more if you went for something off, right?
I think there were other issues with visibility on the tennis as well as the track. If you have
And
next to the green to see if people are inbound,
Yeah,
et cetera. So I think there were multiple reasons why we're going with the suggestion of the building personnel.
Apparently, the red track is better at dealing with ultraviolet radiation, and therefore the track lasts longer if it's red than if it's not. And if you remember all those studies about animals in the zoo, and they used to use circus colors in the zoo, and the animals would be all freaked, and then they decided to paint them brown and green, and then the animals were calm. The same thing works for kids. Except you want them to have better times to run faster. So it's better to be excited. So, red.
Thank you.
Okay.
Roof replacement at Woodlands High School. Francis, would you mind updating construction?
Right now, the contractor at Woodlands is roughly, by the end of this week, will be roughly about 75% complete with the main roof replacements. That's not to say that there's still detail work that they're doing on the roofs, but at least the old roofs have been removed, insulation and new membranes are down. So those, at this point, like I said, 75% of the building now is completely watertight. By the end of this weekend, the main area that we'll have left to do is going to be the gymnasium roof and the breezeway to the gymnasium roof. Like I said, there's still detail work that they do on the other roofs that are membraned right now, but it's more detailed flashing work and stuff like that. But we are watertight, and that's a good thing. Yeah, you know, your building is secure.
Good.
They're still on schedule to complete this job before the end of before the summertime hits. They're actually doing restoration work now in the back of the building, between the building and the gymnasium, where they had the machines running back and forth to bring the materials and the dumpsters in. That work is going to be done in the next couple of days. So by the time graduation hits, that back area should be back to normal and seated. You're getting new paved pathways back there. The contractor did tear them up a bit, so he's replacing those. So that area should be restored, like I said, hopefully by this weekend, weather permitting. Let the grass grow, and in the next couple of weeks, you should have a pretty nice looking area in the back there.
If I may, if it's seeded, that's a lot of mud. Was there any consideration for using sod?
We did discuss that. There's a cost factor involved in that, and then more importantly is sod needs to be watered on a daily basis. That in that case, then we discussed with the district that there's not the ability to water every day back there. The seeding generally takes right away, and we should have no problems there. And if it doesn't, they're coming back to maintain it and reseed it.
Right, so sorry to be harping on this, but so we're seeding it, are we putting down chunks of earth? Because there are chunks of earth missing from multiple spots. Are we leveling it all out? And it's gonna be really hard to keep kids off of there. I'm just wondering how much over the thought would have been.
I didn't get that last part. Could you say that again, please?
If cost was one of the primary factors, I'm wondering how much the difference was, because, you know, when I look at the area, A, chunks of earth were taken out, not just grass. B, it's gonna be there, this is a high school building with hundreds of kids who, spring fever is coming, they're gonna wanna spend their time outside during lunch break, and it'll be impossible to keep them off of all of the grass. I'm just wondering how much of a difference the sod would have been.
Is there a cost difference? I'm sorry, is there a cost difference for it? Not only,
Oh, yeah, we got
not only the, huh?
Definitely.
Because not only the kids though, you know, we have a lot of community members that come through, walk their dog, let their, you know, dog kind of roam and run through campus. So is it gonna become an issue or?
It will
No?
be muddy for a while,
Yeah,
and then the grass will fill in.
I mean, I'm naming a lot of things. My primary concern is that the chunks of earth will be replaced as well, that it will be leveled out as opposed to tossing seed on the hills and valleys that have been created by the heavy vehicles.
No, they have to. smooth
No,
it.
they have to go through and level out all the areas, fill in all the ruts.
You can't just keep
If
up.
they have to import more soil, they import more soil. They're just not going to drop seed on what it looks like right now. You'll see the next day or so. They have machines in there and they'll be running everything flat again.
Okay, thank you.
I assume that the energy performance contract is running a yellow, the pipe for the gas line through there, right?
He is, and according to my meeting with him the other day, they're starting that work. Well, they've actually started it at the bottom of the roadway where the apartment complex is now. They're anticipating coming up into that courtyard area sometime, I think, over the spring break. They are aware that the roofing contractor is restoring his area right now, and that any additional restoration work after he's done is his responsibility. So he is going to be digging up. He is going to have a machine there, but they're responsible to restore after they're completed.
As of today, I believe they had, or as of about 3 o'clock today, they had made the trench work. They had made their way all the way up the driveway to the gym, you know, the gym parking lot, just across the street. And so, you know, they're almost there. Okay, I think we have some pictures. We'll show a little later to let people know what's going on. Okay, but let's finish this first. Okay. Ivy Elementary School, partial window replacement.
Actually, I think we skipped over the roof at Bailey. Fran, you just want to touch upon that real quick?
Sure. Bailey, the contractor actually last week mobilized. They set up their site. They set up the stair tower. They took a delivery of the roofing materials. They loaded it up onto the roof already. On next Friday, the 11th, they are actually starting the project. They're going to be doing abatement work on that Friday evening. And then on Monday, if needed be, they'll finish the abatement work and start the roof. Excuse me. That roof is relatively easy. So I'm expecting over that spring break, depending on the weather, that they should have the old roof removed and at least a new EPDM membrane down. There'll be detail work to follow, but by the end of that spring break, again, depending on the weather, the new membrane should be down and that roof should be watertight. They'll probably need a couple of weeks of detail work to follow there to finish that job off, but they'll be out of there before the end of the school year, and then that'll allow you guys to maintain summer school and camps or whatever you're going to do in that building.
Thanks, Fran. So in the Highview window replacement, I don't think there's much of an update for that, right, Francis? From the
No,
last
we
meeting?
do. There's a bit of abatement work, the caulking on the existing windows. We're going to be doing that over the spring break. That's roughly 2 days worth of work, and that's going to be it. All materials have been ordered. They've been ordered for a couple of weeks now. Contractor is on schedule to receive the material sometime we're hoping in the beginning or middle of July, and he's got about a 2 to 3 week install there. So if everything goes according to plan, we should have the new windows and doors installed in that building by the end of July, or at least by hopefully the first week of August.
Okay, Chris?
Just remember the abatement work that they're talking about at Bailey and Highview over spring break. I believe we have some personnel in there a couple days during the breaks. Are they working after hours? Are they working out of different locations?
It's a
Or is it-
roof flashing outside, which is non-friable, outdoor, nothing inside of the building,
So that's the Bailey.
the Bailey.
And the caulking work at
And the
Highview?
bulk is silicone and tile work, which is non-friable.
So again, the people can be safely in the
They can
buildings
be
doing
safe,
their work.
but yeah, it's considered a small project.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Francis. So the district-wide energy performance contract, we kind of touched upon that. I don't have much to update with that other than the last meeting it was brought up about getting a price from RWE for installing the concrete block wall around the structure for the energy storage. So they are still working on it. I discussed it with Cal today to get an update from him. They're working with Tesla on the design. David, I did forward your information to them that you shared with the local other project in town that's doing something similar. So they're going to look at that, compare, refer back to Tesla, like I said, and then once they get the numbers together, we'll share that with you for your review.
Yes. The batteries. Battery energy storage system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question.
Yes.
I just heard you say working with Tesla. Is there any other company that we could be working with instead of that company?
I do not know. I don't think so. I think they've already signed contracts with them months ago. But and I think their equipment is actually already on site there. So it's more about clearances and making sure that if we build a wall that it's not going to interfere with their equipment.
Well, I certainly hope we'll ask the question, even if we already know that the answer is no.
Of course.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to look on Google Drive, you can gaze at the shopping center that's got the concrete wall around it. It looks like they have 6.5 feet of clearance on one side so that the interior doors can open, and I guess that the thing has doors itself in the concrete wall, which probably means a little additional cost. And they'll look at that, see if it's similar to what our solution would be.
When are we gonna get a price for that to know if it fits into the contract?
They're working on that, Lisa. Now that we have an idea of what the size of it's going to be, it appeared that it's going to be the same size as what the fencing was supposed to be around the structure. And if it's going to be what appears to be a 4-hour rated wall and a 3-hour rated doors, it's not going to be cheap. It's going to be at a minimum a 6-inch block that's completely filled solid with the doors that are again rated for 3 hours. So if they are going to do something like that, I'm not anticipating it to be a small cost. It's probably going to be pretty big, but we'll see when we get it.
What's pretty big?
It's not going to be a couple thousand. It's probably going to be 50 to 100 potentially.
Is that what, Ms. Raymond, is that what you were expecting?
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I just know how much we have available, and I don't know how much is gonna fit into our budget.
Right.
Because we can't overspend what that
Yep.
project is gonna cost us.
Yep.
It's a complete guess on my part. I don't know, but like I said, as soon as we get that information from RWE, we'll share it with you. Or they'll send it directly to you, Lisa.
Okay.
Is it possible to consider another company other than Tesla if the cost comes in?
I don't know the answer to that. But like I said, I think the equipment they've already purchased, it's there. Parts of the equipment are there already. So I don't think they can back out of that contract, but I'll ask the question after tonight's meeting. I'll ask Cal.
Okay, any other questions on the energy performance contract here? Okay, and we'll look at the pictures of the gas lines in a minute.
Okay, we talked about Bailey's roof already, the science lab, 314 gas service, and the eye wash stations are going to be bid at the same time with the water main project. So later this month, open in May, hopefully award in June. The two other roof replacement projects, we have permits, as we said last month. We're just waiting for bidding period of September, October for construction next summer. And then finally, the science lab renovations. We had our initial design meeting with Mr. Belize, Matt Smith, and Jennifer Belfiore on 314. And we have our next meeting scheduled for next week to review the first wave of layouts. The first meeting that we have is really to go over programming. It's 6 pages of questions and getting through the minutia of what's needed for each room. So, but next week we'll start the process of schematic and design development.
And did you show them any sample projects that you completed at other schools?
Yes, yeah, we gave them a whole pamphlet of projects that we've done. We've done over $400 million of science classroom renovation projects over the 50 years that PBS has been around. So there was quite an extensive list. We gave them buildings that they can go see recent projects that they'd like. I think they were relatively happy with what they saw. So I think there's some difference of opinions of style of casework, but that's what we'll get through in the process of design. We'll see what they select.
Speaking of which, is Ms. Raymond and Mr. Pugliese in those meetings?
Yes, we discussed, there were some different options we were discussing them among the group, different layouts. So there was quite a few different schools that we looked at, and there was some feedback both ways.
Do we have any students involved in that?
There were no students at the last meeting. That was the preliminary meeting. I don't know what the plan would be to get some student feedback.
Well, do you typically get the student feedback when you guys are redesigning science labs at the school?
Not at the early stages, maybe a little later on. But really, like I said, the initial meeting is really to go through the minutia of program, what we call programming. What types of materials do you need? What are you storing? How many, what kind of gas service or electrical service do you need in the room? That type of thing. It's very lengthy, and I think the students, they're welcome if you want to schedule them to attend a meeting. We're glad to host them, but typically I haven't seen it in this early on phase of design.
When does it typically happen?
Once we start getting into the casework side of it, at some point, maybe once we're at the state even, the state doesn't care about what type of wood cabinets you select, for example, or what the color of the tops are going to be. Those meetings are usually a little more fun. And at that point, we'll bring in a science casework vendor to attend, and they'll start doing drawings and schematics and give you isometric drawings of what it's going to look like, and that's kind of when it becomes fun. So that's usually a typical time for students.
That's way down the road.
Okay.
A few months from now, yeah.
So at this point, are there other questions? Okay, so we're gonna start walking through the pictures now. Do that, and then we'll tie up with the smaller projects. But okay, so here we are at the church at the corner of Fair Street and Juniper Hill, and you may remember that the golf course was going to, as part of a development opportunity, they were going to partially pave this road and add a sidewalk on their side of the street. So the next several pictures will be about that. Okay. And that's our property there on the left. That's where, there used to be a turnaround where people would drive partway down the driveway and turn around. So they flattened that out. They said they'll get their vehicles off of it and seed it and kind of leave it for future. Yeah.
Trustee Warner, were there trees and stuff there?
There were fallen trees, but not, no, okay. There's a big mass of stumps and stuff. And that's their driveway, so they drive right in and drive right out, so they don't need to turn around themselves. So they went 18 feet beyond their intersection, and that's where the sidewalk and the pavement and everything end. They'll take this muddy area and put a little gravel on it, but they won't pave all the way down the road. And yeah, okay. Yeah, and okay, just right there, you see that little black spot right down the next to the red truck? That is a drainage pipe. I think they're running the drainage pipe, I guess, from our property, because it normally ran onto the golf course. It now goes into their system of drainage on their side. And that's the driveway to where the house used to be. And that's what they put into the golf course. That's the facility that they'll use to service the golf course. It's big. It's just, you can't see it from the outside because it's low, right? Okay, this is your trees. There were trees and they cut them down. You're gonna plant a new one, I guess. You want, yeah.
They were dead, right? Or something, there was.
Yeah, they were
rot or
diseased,
something.
yeah.
And then here comes the gas pipe. You're gonna talk.
Yep, I'll take, here's the trench work that's going up the path leading up towards the soccer field. You can just keep clicking through it, look. This is just some
The athletic
staging area that they have, for the sand that's gonna go back into fill the gas line when they're finished. This is some more pictures of the work area, Packapone Road. More pictures there. Okay, here we go. We have the carport station. They just started to assemble some
solar
panels, just the last day or so. There we go. This is the press box at Woodlands High School.
We had a report of some damage.
Yeah, we had a break-in on Monday afternoon. And they caused quite a bit of damage. You can see the pictures, the holes were smashed in the walls, the ceiling light was torn down, and you'll see in some of the next pictures. Soccer goals were, new soccer goals were destroyed. You can see the metal that's broken off there.
So, Mr. Pugliese, when do we catch these folks? Cause I do believe we will catch them. Are we going to seek financial compensation, or do you not know that yet?
I don't know that yet. The police have been notified. There's an active investigation now, and NYSER has been involved from the insurance company.
Yeah.
They haven't sent their representative down, but we filled out the paperwork. They've been notified. This is some more.
Those are the stronger goals.
And those on the committee may not know, the board does over the years, at least since I've been here, I'm sure Mr. Trustee Warner as well, receives feedback from the community when people utilize our fields, right? And sometimes we bother Mr. Pugliese when someone's over there. We do have a fence, we try to close it. Sometimes you'll see multiple cars parked outside the fence, and I guess people walk in to use our fields. You know, it's a tough situation to be in because we're a public school, right? So the public tax dollars pay for our fields. We have a duty to try to protect them by keeping the gate closed, but then we also have a, you know, we say we have a beautiful campus. I don't think the board is frustrated with people who have pickup games, but like official, you know, games all the time, it's a concern. So we do try to monitor the field, but you know, having people come on and vandalize is horrible. Like, I don't wanna lock down the field either to where no one can ever get, you know, but.
Dr. Allen? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Do we have surveillance cameras in the area?
We have a couple of GoPro trail cameras because we don't have Wi-Fi out there, but yes, we do have them on video that we have turned over to the police.
Oh, so we did see who was doing the damage?
Correct.
Oh, very good then, thank you.
Just, are there signs up that there's video surveillance?
No.
There was a sign on the temporary fencing for the, yeah, okay. Solar panel thing.
I'm afraid, my personal opinion, if they're doing that, what are they gonna do to the solar panels?
Right, right.
That's what I'm
That's
worried
why we
about.
need cameras.
That's why I've asked,
Right.
so we've had, after this has happened, even though we tried to figure out how to get Wi-Fi down there, have Select Telecom and somebody else just trying to figure, do we have to run, what is the cost gonna be to run the fiber down that way to try to get, so everybody, Mr. Pugliese, Mr. Santos, Mr. Head, Mr. Smith, Mr. McCoy can be looking at those cameras 24/7, 365.
So if I could just piggyback on what Ms. Raymond is saying, though, the public should know that this is a frequent and
It's very,
much revisited conversation in the tech committee and other committees. But of course, all the details is executive session, so we will never tell you definitely when things are put in or where they're put.
The location of cameras, right?
Going back to what I proposed quite a few years ago, I still think it's time for the board and administration to really seriously look into getting a cell tower put up there. We have poor reception to begin with. There's no 5G anywhere around in that area. In fact, you can barely get 2 bars. If you get the cell tower, you can also make money from the cell tower. So the district would be making money instead of trying to figure out how to wire a cheap old Wi-Fi that can go down. You get the cell tower, then you can get the cameras so that you can do anything you want. You can put 50 cameras there, as long as you can hook up with it and you can get cellular, which would be better than trying to figure out how to do a Wi-Fi system there. So instead of paying for it, you can have them pay us. So it makes no sense to do Wi-Fi. You got plenty of room there on the campus to put a tower. Have somebody pay us. Then you can put any amount of cameras up there.
Mr. Morton, we're exploring all options.
Yes. It's time.
Okay. Keep going.
This
Pinewood Gate.
This is some of the trench work on the other side of the fence. And the Pinewood Gate.
Now, what's going on with this? This is the water area we were looking at before for the abandoned Verizon pipe with too much water in it.
Correct, there is I was actually out there the last couple nights in a row. Now that we're excavating, the water used to come out of the manhole and groundwater would come out of the first pole, which would be about just off of the camera there where the end of the caution tape is. Right now, while they're doing the excavation, there's water in the trench. Just it's groundwater, but there's a lot of it coming down from the hill or it's coming from the stream, we're not sure exactly where it's coming from.
So that blue thing there, are you, is it like a sump
That's
pump or
a
something?
pump that it's pumping the
Okay.
water out of the trench back into the ground.
Okay,
And I'm told that there's a history going back, 10 years or so of the water flowing.
right,
from here
that's
being a
where the
problem
water, that's
coming
where the
down
water
Pinewood
line
Road with the different neighbors.
used to
that are
supply our
complaining.
water, right? And we dump the pile of dirt on it.
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out exactly what we have to do with the town and
So because of that stream. I'll probably ask this later. The stream that goes along the base of the hill, and the base of the hill is our property,
correct.
and we have issues potentially with.
This
So I'm
water
just trying to
runoff
figure
is
out
ours
if
according
people,
to the
if
town.
people filled in our stream, our property, I'll ask this later.
Okay,
We'll get my beyond if you grant me, so.
okay. Go ahead.
The other problem with this right here is I see this as a hazard until construction is done. People are not eating to driving, they're flying through there. It's a narrow area.
What you wanna do, Ms.
I
Reed?
wanna close,
Kept
I
the
wanna
road
close
open.
the road.
Oh,
I think
listen, you
it,
know you got my support, but I don't know if anybody's
this
gonna beat us up.
is an accident waiting to happen, I'm afraid to say.
Well, how long will it be here?
I don't know,
No.
I don't know, but I just can
We
tell
open
you
up the
now,
trench,
it's a
and then
nightmare,
we
yeah.
lay pipe in the trench and then
Within the next couple of weeks, they're anticipating
it'll be done.
closing that section off.
Can we just
Okay.
communicate with folks early and often so that they know?
I was gonna ask, could we ask the town to send out one of their blasts about it? Like driving, this is how I got here today, and it definitely like took me by surprise. I wasn't going fast, going through a neighborhood, but it took me by surprise. I'm glad I didn't have to pass anyone, especially with it. So maybe ask the town if we propose something, they can just blast it out to everyone. Cause now I don't usually drive through there, but I definitely won't drive through there now. Or while this construction is happening, it's not gonna save me time,
Right.
so other people might consider like going to Washington.
Chris,
Two questions. When are they actually working? What are the hours they're actually working?
Oh, they were there all day today,
Daylight hours.
daylight
Yeah.
hours.
They try to, limit during the, arrival and dismissal times when it's,
Right,
but
But even-
they are inside the fenced in area now,
Okay.
but it's.
but then tangential to what you're just saying, during daylight hours is when we do have walking students using that road along with 2 lanes of traffic. So I would also support you guys closing this road sooner rather than later, at least during the time when students are walking back and forth, because walkers who no longer have that to walk on plus 2 lanes of traffic is, I agree, a hazard. So I'll support that, Ms. Raymond, if you wanted to close that road for a few weeks.
Can I ask you a question? Or if we don't close it down completely, maybe one way
One way.
it
at least?
is, well, it's basically one lane as it is.
Oh, it's
One
one
way,
lane.
but she said make it a
Yeah.
one-way road.
Something so that, I mean, I know we have students that, and maybe staff even that live right outside, they would essentially have to go all the way around if it wasn't one way.
There's no good answer.
Okay.
But I would say keeping students safe.
Right,
It's a
yes,
number.
that's the right answer.
Everyone what the community can deal with.
Actually not walking there, they're walking, where Fieldstone, they're walking by the track and then coming down the Muddy River.
Mhm.
I call it the road, they're not really walking
Yeah,
this way.
sorry, I use this road all, they do walk on this road.
There's a couple of them, but majority of them are coming the other way, cause I go there every morning and I see them. They're coming from the track, there's a little hidden.
I've noticed that that's been cleaned out. Did you clean that out to make that a trail?
We maintain the trails for cross country and such.
How
Part of
long
the
would it
trails
take to
system.
finish the construction if it's completely closed down and they can freely work?
Well, I
Well, I don't think it could be
I don't-
completely closed down, we gotta get buses
Yeah,
and stay
the
out.
buses have to come in and
Yeah.
out, the transportation
bus.
supervisor needed at least one lane of traffic for his buses because the hub is on our campus.
Right,
So is there any like ETA for amount of time or?
They're saying
Maybe a couple
a few weeks.
okay. Next slide.
Sarah Lazari had a question.
Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, no, I lowered it. Never mind. Thank you.
And that's it's the water that's being pumped out to keep the trench lower.
Okay.
And that's some more pictures of the trench work. This is the top of the hill where the fence is, that's where the trench is completed to right now. That's actually the soccer field on the right and the student parking lot.
And they've cut the pavement.
Yes, they have
Kinda like
that's where they're,
the white
we're
line
trying to
is.
coordinate now. I told them the best time to do that would be during the break, where they go
Spring
across for
break.
the one day and they put the plates down to, we have buses coming in, parent drop off.
Right.
Can I
We're still
ask
coordinating that, so.
for the future, not now, but just keep in mind, would it be a good idea to make a small fence, like just so that people can't drive their car up onto there?
Onto which side?
Isn't that the soccer field? Am I-
The soccer field would be on the right
Right.
side, yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like a gully there, like
Oh, it is?
it's a hill, there's like
Yeah.
where the tree is, there's rocks and stuff around there, that's not flat on the right, it goes down and back up.
I believe trustee Mears is referring
Until you
to
get further
the
down, when you get
resident
further down towards the school, it's a curve, but
And people started parking on it
Yeah.
recently, which is not.
well, I think where the basketball game was
Yeah.
especially one night.
You remember that, yeah, I was losing my mind. I'm just wondering, how do we protect that soccer field? And trustee Valerie will come in it, they'll start asking about it being redone, so that it's a nice field. But I'll wait till the next meeting for that.
You can see where the roadway is scored now in anticipation of when they dig it up.
Okay.
Some more pictures of the trench work. This is
The
the
mud you were talking about.
mud area and the quad area right up back here. Yeah, it's, more pictures of the trench.
I'm sorry, just have one more question. When is that quad area gonna be finished?
They're gonna do some restoration on this weekend.
And next week.
And they're gonna do the put stone down, and then next week, weather permitting, they're gonna do the asphalt.
Will it look nice for graduation time?
Oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah, okay.
That's many.
The sidewalks should be done within 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Graduation.
In June.
What's this?
Okay. The roof.
This is the pictures of the roof that was done here at Woodlands.
A future landing site for a future solar project,
Yep.
is what I see.
Yes.
Keep going, look, these are some more pictures from up on the roof. This is more pictures on different elevations, it's looking down at principal's office towards the auditorium, all the way in the back, it's up on the top of the classroom building right there. That's still has yet to be done, that's the large gym, the small gym, and the breezeway area. This is some damage that was in the press box at the football field, there was an exit light there. There it is. There was a light in the ceiling, it's now on the floor, and you see the holes in the walls and the ceiling. That's the light that was ripped down. This is an electrical box that was outside that was smashed. With pipes and whatever they were smashing it with.
Or how did they get in?
They kicked the door
kicked
right
the
in,
door
it's on
down.
video, you can see they broke in, they. Locked.
That's all the photos.
Okay, thank you.
The real thing about, you know how like their security systems, like if the door opens an alarm goes, you know, do we ever have anything before?
Not down there.
And that's because we don't have Wi-Fi, so it really
It
wouldn't be the
wouldn't,
purpose.
it wouldn't notify anybody.
Cause I'm like, where is that at?
So,
Okay.
so we got two methods of attack. One is to put up a
I
cell tower, and
noticed-
one is to bring Wi-Fi down.
I did notice that we keep very little stuff in the box itself.
Right,
It's not
correct.
like there's like a whole,
Mhm.
soundboard or anything, very, very minimal stuff in there, like a small portable mic was in there, and that was really it for the games. And then I went to another school district and looked in their press box, very similar, very minimal stuff. They did have like multiple locks on it though, I noticed. I don't know how ours was locked up, but if they kicked in the door, I guess it wouldn't matter
they were.
what type of lock they had, so.
Okay, smaller projects, take it away. Yeah,
Let's see, there we go, right over there, ECP, nothing to report, LF Jackson. The gas line trench work on school grounds has been completed, awaiting Con Ed hookup on First Street and meter installation. We have the parking lot should be expanded to the parent drop off, costs about $90K. Need to design for implementation in the future year. High view, the window walls in the third grade wing project in process. The samples have been chosen, the windows are being fabricated. The gas pipe installation is complete. We're awaiting the meter installation at High view there.
Can I ask you a question about EF Jackson? We were there the other night, Tuesday night, and we did a finance committee meeting, and some of the rooms are being used like cut up. Is it possible to, or maybe we shouldn't do that, because maybe Ms. Small moves per year what she needs, but I was gonna ask if you could create dividers in the room for some privacy, because I know there's like PPS services.
Some of the rooms do have
Yeah.
have been divided up, but nothing permanent.
Right, because I guess she might need to use a different room.
It's constantly changing the needs of the building.
Okay.
Move it up.
Yep, here you go.
Like RJ Bailey, there you go.
RJ Bailey, still awaiting a quote on the stair treads from Milburn. Reached out to them again. We're still looking, trying to get me a quote for that.
Is that because they're under, sorry, is that because they're under,
What?
a coaster, like, that was the only one?
They're on,
On a coast.
it's not a COSAR, but they are on contract for,
With us?
with, I use them for a piggyback off of,
Gotcha. Okay.
Long Island. Let's see, Woodlands approved the use of, Lacey.
With Bailey, there was a speed bump, I'm sorry to ask you to. go back.
Oh, yes, it barely, there was a piece of speed bump that had broken off over the winter. I have I'm waiting for the blacktop plants to open. I spoke to the contractor. As soon as that happens, we'll start to fix some of the speed bumps that chipped away. There's a couple of them in the district. Let's see, we talked about the BBS report regarding the vestibule. Gas pipe installation is complete inside and around the building after the meters. The trench work we talked about at Pinewood, we saw the pics. We looked at the sidewalk on Juniper Hill, and the street light is on, and we're completing the trench work to do the piping the right way. Item 4 is a constant battle on the football field, paving cost in excess of $200K. We're gonna defer until the solar panel installation is complete. Trench work for the electrical lines, parallel to the driveway.
Yeah, just, I was there yesterday. Can we get some more item 4?
Yes, I had a meeting with the contractors today. If it's anything that they disturb, typically I do that. I'm just using up our stone and stuff. They should be dedicating some stone also. So that's what the conversation was.
Yeah,
If it's something that they disturb by driving the trucks over it, they're responsible to fix the roadway.
Cause flag football has a season.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
So either way, we'll put some more stone down.
Is it really bumpy?
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
there's this one
yes.
section
There's
that
a couple
is.
sections that are really bad. Let's see, installed the car frame for the solar panel carports, foundation of battery and storage. We talked about the best system concrete sleeve. We're working on obtaining some costs for that now. And we talked about the groundwater from the abandoned Verizon fiber optic installation. It it's no longer coming out of the manholes, but there's still an ongoing problem that we need to address. The town of Greenburgh is gonna reach out to Verizon and see if they could plug up their manholes that have been abandoned. And we have to figure out what we're gonna do with the groundwater. The groundwater seems to be coming in from the conduits that were abandoned from the Verizon. It just, the path, at least for the groundwater, it was flowing there, so maybe we close that up. We're not sure what we're gonna do yet. 225, the BOE approved the naming of Eller Memorial Field after Edward Eller, Superintendent of Buildings and Grounds from 1978 to 90, who was responsible for construction and maintenance of the field. We need a quote on the memorial plaque. We're talking about revising the purchasing of the 699 limit. Permits Raymond updating purchase limits for inflation would raise $1,000. She suggests $1,500 and keeping up with other districts.
That basically accurate, Lisa?
Yes.
Teacher Center, the disease tree cutting was down. We plan on planting a new flowering tree this spring.
Okay, yes, Chris.
Going back to the high school, I don't, maybe I missed it, but I don't see the Woodlands Auditorium project that we included in last year's budget. Anywhere in the facility stuff?
Included in this year's budget.
Yeah, sorry.
And
Last year's plan, this
we
year's
do
plan.
have a price from the company, and we've asked them to prioritize because their cost came in more than what the dollar amount was. So we will only be able to do up to what was approved in the capital interfund transfer, and we're trying to prioritize that.
And we only have one company that,
We reached out to,
willing to put in-
we didn't get quotes or bids from anybody else. So instead of waiting, we're just asking them, and they are on a bid. So they're like on Ed Data.
right,
And when is it likely that,
We reached out to them this last week or
Yeah,
this week.
this week I reached out
And
to
asked
them.
them to please send us the quote and prioritize. You
Yeah,
know,
our team
we
wants
met
to
with them
pick
and that
what
we
we
told
need.
them that the electric has to be done. That's the most important right now. And they, from what I understand, it'll be electric and rigging. They thought that was
Priority.
the priority to get done.
okay, I'm sure Trustee Jacobson will want, if you get the detail by next week's tech meetings next
Okay.
week. So,
okay, so let me ask you, we've got at the, under, I guess, the last new business, we'll finish this chapter.
Scroll back up there, look, we got the bus garage still on there. They consider repaving an electric vehicle charging stations. That hasn't changed. And pretty much it.
Let's approve these real quick. Soccer field, I'm thinking about Richard J. Bailey. Do we put seeds down for that too? 'Cause
We-
sometimes we do that.
The grass is overly used there. It's poor soil. And what happens is the only time that field came back is when we shut down Bailey for the construction. And the grass came back a little bit. It just, there's too many people using it. It's even on the weekends, the kids go out to play, the grass. We have sprinklers, but it just, the field's overused and trampled into the ground. It's literally.
I wonder if there's something creative that can happen with that field, even if for like several months we close off half of it to let it grow somehow and then hold off the other half, or if we even made some sort of I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been an issue for many years.
The sand, the soil isn't that great, but even if we were to put topsoil and dress it up, it's not gonna grow because the kids are out there constantly. I mean. You know, that's the trouble with fields. You have to stay off of them so that it has a chance to grow and settle in.
It's been an issue for years, I
Yes.
wonder.
Okay, so what's left? Spoke about the the bus garage,
Yep, we talked about that.
okay? And then,
No. No responses.
no responses, okay. So we were trying to get more money for a science lab, funding from, tech companies and or medical companies and, did you ever get an address from, so what's wrong is, I guess we're basically sending a general delivery to different places, and what we need to do is make contacts with people in these companies that deal with this and find out who they are.
Yes, I don't know, I tried to look up, in each company, their giving section.
Okay, all right, so you
I
tried
haven't even, I've received one back that was undeliverable, everything else has been sent. And I haven't even gotten an acknowledgement that they received the letter.
Okay. Well, we can go online and see if we get any response.
I found everything online.
You've had everything on, okay. Any suggestions? Anybody?
I'd say call out to the community of anyone who might work at any of those places or have contacts that might be able to get past a,
Mm-hmm,
like, any, like.
whatever the outer barrier is,
Yeah.
right?
Like, again, within the community, somebody's gonna work and it's not, we're looking for to offset taxpayer costs, so it's an easy thing to
Yes.
get behind. There used to be a parent who worked at New York Medical College, but she moved last year. And also, I don't think anyone's in a financial position right now to give away a lot of money.
I bet you at least 5 of those are gonna have
Are there-
potential funding cuts, so we're
Yeah.
not, some of them are gonna have supply issues possibly.
On it,
Okay.
Why don't we ask Paul Finer if he knows the contacts there?
Okay,
Good idea.
ask, all fine, okay. Let's,
I'm gonna start a GoFundMe.
yeah, let's look at the minutes. Here, got a hard copy packet, it's the second half, bring up the minutes from that. Francis and Michael Messina, been nice talking to you. You may,
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
all right, good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Okay. Just take a look here. Attendance, let's see if we mess up anybody's name. I don't see no, Sindona would know, okay. You have one N in your,
Doesn't she write these?
Yeah.
yes, she writes it, but my spell checker
Oh.
said, what's Sindona, what's a Sindona?
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Megan, are you still on the, yeah, she has an.
Add it to the dictionary.
okay.
Name is correct.
No, it's Megan Hacks is not.
No, she needs an H,
MEGHAN,
yes.
Yeah.
get that, Elizabeth?
Okay. And then use ourselves, most of this from the agenda, I stuck in the bit about recommending option 2 and agreeing to it, but. Then there's on the second page is the March PBS status report. And then there's some description of what we talked about as we went over the report. Track, the kickoff meetings.
Can we give an update? Did I miss an update on the vestibule tonight?
Yep.
I did, okay, sorry.
And then,
I moved
Okay. We approve the minutes as amended.
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's that what's. It's the end. Okay. All right, so that leaves. Going back to the agenda, I think, just. Board does not object to a facilities publicity push or signage at each building entrance. So, that's great. So that's going to be us. Either the facilities committee will generate something or the administration will generate something. If you do it as the administration, you have more power and control, but it takes more work. How do you feel that this should be addressed?
So I think I brought up once before, maybe it was at where we discussed it as a board. I once kept running on a continual loop. And it just showcased like all the pictures that we
The
have
pictures,
of
yeah.
different things, and you know, it might have an introduction page, like it'll say, I don't know, vestibule. And it's just, if you put one at the entrance or somewhere in each school, that people that come in, and it just keeps running. I did it 100, previously when I did it at a budget vote that was 100 feet away from the polling place, but so that people could see, because there was a lot of
Progress.
construction and what the
Right.
progress was, because we were asking for another construction vote. So that they could see, and it just kept. And people watched the video before they went in to vote.
How big was the screen?
Oh, it was a laptop.
Oh,
It was a laptop,
we have laptops?
probably.
Yeah.
We
Is
could
it
talk to Kelly.
possible?
And or it could be, maybe not as big as that, but there could be like a rolling smart board or something if we had it, that could be, you know, it could be hooked up to and it just.
Is it possible to take an image, Ms. Raymond, off of or images, I should say, off of this reel and do I'm imagining like sometimes you walk into the building and they have a kind of an easel with just a poster board picture. Having something like that at
Yeah,
each
kind of like,
building.
we could do that, or we could do both.
Cause I'm picturing the easel situation could be done, you know, as soon as whenever it could get done, and then that ongoing loop thing can happen at the vote. You said you do it at the vote, right?
Well, that's when I did do it, was at the vote, but you could
do
you would wanna have it done before the vote so that it could, you know.
We could just, right. I think we should find out. I assume you plug it in and there has to be power next to the machine so you can
We
run
could
it.
kind of do posters,
I'm
just
saying
there's like,
that-
remember that budget vote that we had those huge posters to explain the cash flow?
Yes,
Of the,
something like that, but like at each building so that people know, cause it's construction and people know what's happening in their children's building. Right, and I think Mr. Simon said this is your tax dollars at work or whatever
Right?
cute slogan we're gonna have, like, you know.
But I don't know if it was inside the buildings too. Didn't we want to do something outside so people driving by who may not go in the buildings want to see what's going on? too?
Okay, yeah,
Was it I don't know, I thought that's weird.
How do you weatherproof it?
I don't know, put a gloss on it. I don't know.
You
I'm
put
just.
it on, I've seen like on the
Or
weather, like
laminated?
weatherproof signs, you know, like the LED signs, you can put, you know, a blast through that with like different projects or so, and it scrolls through every half an
you know, that
hour,
would
so
really be fun.
that's,
Okay.
that's where I'm headed.
We can get this down. I did write
Yes,
that down earlier.
the sign, the sign.
we like all of the above.
Where did I write it down? I need to prove to David. I wrote it down.
Well, are
Yep.
the principals doing it in their newsletter? So apparently it suggested that.
Yeah.
Well, we can,
At the
we
very
can,
least for like,
we can
hey,
do,
the roof is gonna be done in X, supposed to be done in X amount of weeks in your child's school. I listened to that meeting, I wasn't at that meeting, but I heard two things, I heard like Mr. Simon saying. We've done great things, we've completed a lot of projects that needs to get promoted and publicized. But then there was the, like, I think it was Tracy saying like, people, parents are driving on and going, you know, ones who are not, you know, following stuff, have no idea when things are supposed to be done. Or how long the work is, and somebody suggested
Right.
which was a good idea.
Put a sign up.
Superintendent's weekly or the parents' principal's newsletter.
Yeah, so like a combination of those suggestions, I see dates up there, like fall to 2025, complete, you know, target date, whatever.
Right.
So people know what to look for.
It's got to be very easy to update so that we can constantly update it, more or less on a monthly cycle. The same thing, we go through and discuss, and we take it and we put in the latest pictures and we put in the latest dates, which are probably mostly coming off the BBS report. And then it's easy to maintain. I think, Chris.
So going back to the original thing, that PowerPoint that you did, I think it was ahead of the roof project vote. I thought was very effective and very well done, and if we could just continually update that somehow, and you know, whether it's on the placed in the website under facilities or budget or everywhere that we can think of, and then
Social media.
whether it's linked in the principals.
I remember the PowerPoint, the before and after, that was just
Right,
unbelievable.
exactly, it was
Yeah.
really well done.
Yeah.
So if we just update that every once in a while, and
This
like,
year
a
tax
link
dollars
can be
were just,
created
the before and after
to it,
speaks
to
for
be in
itself.
the principal's letters, to be in the Facebook, we could just constantly refer to that link, and if we could keep updating it, wherever it's housed here.
I would just say for the principals that the wording has to be crafted outside, because sometimes when you get that as a parent, having been in this meeting, and then what comes from the principals is really deflating.
Well, I was hoping maybe we could have a universal.
Yeah, so something,
message that is-
yeah, that's just because it just doesn't have as much oomph
Yeah.
as you would want the message to have, so I think that universal message, so if you don't read it for one of your kids, you might get it for the other, but.
You might,
Tax dollars at work is the headline, you have each school, the before and after, here's, and then the bullet point at the end, this is what, or ahead or ahead, this is what you just saw. Cause you, yeah, I'm gonna go back, and then
tell them you told them.
5 billion
tell
pictures you
them,
guys take
tell them,
every
tell
month.
them, tell them.
we could just occasionally add in a couple before and after pictures, to
Yeah.
keep it constantly updated.
And are there any who could be like interns on this project? Are there any students who have a photography? I know last year I read a
We
WISE
could
project
bring it
about a
up
student.
to WISE people next year,
Yeah,
because now
that-
they're already in their project.
Yeah, that could help to do some of the legwork on it. It's not confidential information, so it could be something that they could help to maintain.
Maybe, if anybody volunteers, if you find that kid who's really interested in architecture,
We already have it at the time.
yeah, that's true. Okay.
Could I suggest that we say your school tax dollars at work rather than just your tax dollars?
Good point.
Yes.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay. So we'll work on that.
When is the next facilities meeting? It's in April, right? Chelsea, one?
30th, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's the end of the month.
April 30th.
Yep.
Maybe we'll try to get something ready for then, if I know. I think we.
Yeah.
Get that done.
By April 30th. Good. And we'll be. Okay, other concerns? Anybody? Hearing none? I hear motion to adjourn.
Meeting.
A second.
Dan,
I have a comment before you close the meeting.
yes,
Just for the record, can you write down, we need to continue to talk about expanding at the lower grades because our, you know, numbers are increasing. I just mentioned B.F. Jackson using certain spaces and having share spaces. I just don't want that to fall off our,
don't worry. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Opposed, it's 8 o'clock.